All right, so cricket is where we start this Tuesday edition of the SportsMax Zone. The regional governing body, Cricket West Indies, has extended gratitude to Nicholas Pooran after the 29-year-old announced a shock retirement from the international game via social media late Monday afternoon. The board confirmed that its leadership was officially notified of Pooran's decision. And in a release, the Kishore Shallow-led body had only positive things to say about the Trinidad and Tobago native. A world-class player and a game changer, Nicholas leaves the game as the most capped West Indian in T20 internationals with 106 matches and the leading T20 international run scorer with 2,275 runs. His performances on the field and influence within the team have made a lasting impact on West Indies cricket. Fazir Mohammed joins us via Zoom to tell us what he makes of this decision that rocked the cricketing world. And I like asking you this, Faz, because when you're usually unfiltered, it's the best Fazir Mohammed. So what was your first thought when you heard about his retirement from the international game?
Well, I think my reaction was, what is the shock about? That was my reaction because uh, clearly there's been something going on. Whether it's off the field related, we don't know because it's just speculation. We haven't heard anything anyway. But if you look at it in terms of on the field performance, I think what is happening here is the perception of Nicholas Pooran as a superstar T20 player for the West Indies is clouding the reality. He's a superstar player in franchise cricket. He's not a superstar player playing for the West Indies. The numbers bear that out, and if we have the time, we'll go into it. But I'm just wondering, where is all this shock and awe and maybe outrage that Nicholas Pooran has decided to retire? Maybe it's because he's 29, maybe it's because people associate him with the spectacular. But again, look at the numbers and they tell you the spectacular in relation to Nicholas Pooran and the West Indies is very, very few and very, very far between.
And the T20 World Cup is coming up shortly, right? So the timing was a little bit off.
Okay, so it might have been off, but again, once more, Donald, look at Nicholas Pooran's performances in 15 World T20 matches for the West Indies. He has one score over 50, which was 98 against Afghanistan last year in a match that had no bearing on the West Indies advancing to the next phase. Those are his current numbers, 26.14 and a strike rate of 136. You look at his T20 World Cup performances and he averages 25.42, similar strike rate, but again, in the matches that really matter, for example, when he was captain, he had scores of 5, 7, and 13 when the West Indies couldn't advance to the main draw of the T20 World Cup of 2022. He had scores of 1, 12, 40, 46, and 4 when the West Indies finished second to last in their grouping in 2021 with all the star players. And then last year, with 7 matches played, he had that score of 98, but after that, his next best score was 36. So if we're talking about someone who we apparently are determining to be indispensable, where is the evidence of that?
So question, explain Cricket West Indies' response then, in terms of calling him a game change and thanking him for all that he's done for West Indies cricket, based on the fact that he has only participated in the limited overs form of the game.
Well, for the same reason that Cricket West Indies refer to the selection of the West Indies 16-man squad as bold, execution-driven identity. It's public relations foolishness. That's basically what it is. I mean, and I find it difficult to believe that the people writing this nonsense actually believe it. And the sad part of it is that many of us in the media will just parrot what is said without any sort of analysis saying, okay, Nicholas Pooran, game changer, in point, tell me which match in T20 World Cups, not just playing for the West Indies in T20 internationals and so on. He has a good record in one day, averaging almost 40. Let's not forget that. But if we're talking T20 cricket and the proximity of the 2026 World Cup, can you point me to the match where he was a game changer and that his impact would have had a lasting impression? he gave up the captaincy after the West Indies couldn't get to the main draw of the World Cup. So again, public relations foolishness that they probably believe at Factory Road in St. John's, but sadly we are just prepared to parrot in much of the media.
Yeah, and Faz, based on the different aspects that you would have just outlined, him being really good in franchise cricket, of course, outlining the numbers when it came to West Indies cricket. When we think about the future on this current T20 ODI setup that we have, do you think that it wouldn't be a massive miss? Because one of the things, and you said it rightfully, we tend to draw on is, these players' abilities. They have a lot of abilities. We see them in the IPL, we see them in CPL and all of that. But when we're thinking West Indies cricket, not a big miss anymore with this setup that we have. We endured another loss today.
Well, with the setup, without the setup, with new players, without new players, we're talking Nicholas Pooran.
Yeah.
And people may not like it, they may get offended, they may say, well, you're talking about someone who's a multi-millionaire. Fine, not a problem. But we're talking about playing for the West Indies. This is what the discussion is about.
Yeah.
And if we're going on the basis of performance, and to use that political phrase that is very popular in Trinidad and Tobago, performance beats old talk every time. In the same way that non-performance tells you the real story. And therefore, Nicholas Pooran, all power to him that he's decided to go the way full-blooded into the franchise. I wish him all the best, all the success. But when it comes to playing for the West Indies, his absence or his presence is largely irrelevant.
So maybe, Faz, he has just grown a conscience, right? And said that, I'm not performing for West Indies cricket well, so let me just leave the international game because my heart is not into it and I'm just not performing at that level. Could that be it?
Well, no West Indian player that I know of has the gumption or the backbone to say, I don't think I have it in me anymore to play for the West Indies. I don't think I can give off my best anymore, because the immediate perception is that you're a mercenary. And we had that discussion last week, that this is a hypocritical society that condemns players for seeking better financial circumstances, yet they would do exactly the same thing, probably even be more ambitious if they were put in that situation. It's hypocritical, bottom line. And as I said, we have not matured as human beings as yet because of our legacy of slavery and indentureship and looking up to the massa and all of that sort of thing, that we can feel confident in our own shoes to say, look, the numbers aren't great. I don't think I've made a significant difference to West Indies cricket. I've loved it, yes, but I think, look, my career is really burgeoning and flourishing on the franchise circuit. I'm going to go there and give someone else an opportunity to make a more meaningful difference to the West Indies in the T20 format.
Yeah, just one more from me, Faz, and it stems from a voice note we received yesterday where one of our viewers suggested that, he's gone into retirement, but, they expect him to come out of retirement after. How would you feel if that happens, though, Faz?
Well, I would say thanks, but no thanks, because West Indies cricket is not a place where you should be able to pick and choose. You can, because of the weak-kneed administrators and the gutless selectors that we often have, who go around begging players to play. And at the end, therefore, they've empowered those players to feel they could pick and choose when they want to represent the West Indies. And therefore, they've diluted what should be an honor to represent our region, given the enormous legacy that we have, which the vast majority of our current players know nothing about. So to answer your question quickly, I would say if that were to be an option to Nicholas Pooran, thank you very much, but no thanks.
Yeah, Faz, I want to go back to something that you said earlier, that, something is clearly going on. And I want to look at a few quotes from the former T20 international captain, Rovman Powell. He gave an interview recently to a local television station, Television Jamaica, and this is what he said. It doesn't always work, that script, and he was speaking to why he lost the T20 captaincy. When you go on the field, things do happen, and I think I'm one captain that always believed in the captain instincts of things as much as they're going in the stats direction, Recently, England was one of the teams that pushed the world in stats, and now they're moving away from the stats. they felt as if I'm not the best man going forward in terms of statistics. I still believe that there are a lot of captaincy instincts within it. As much as we can have game plans and plans set out that this is what we're going to do. And when I saw the interview initially, some weeks ago, Faz, I became rather intrigued, but for the moment, I left it alone. When I saw Nicholas Pooran's retirement yesterday, I thought to myself, something seems to be going on here. And the word, Faz, is that Darren Sammy is acting as both captain and coach, and in many instances, he is losing the dressing room. Could Nicholas Pooran's retirement have anything to do with how he feels about the West Indies all-format coach or the leadership of the West Indies all-format coach?
That's a possibility, Ricardo, as well as it may not be. That's what speculation means. You're just guessing. You're shooting in the dark, hoping that you hit something. It might be, it might not be. But why not train our sights on the reality? For example, again, Cricket West Indies, in its different iterations, is famous for doing things like this and then hoping it blows over. Remember Deandra Dottin after the 2022 50-over World Cup, walking away from the team saying she was unhappy with the team environment. Was there any investigation? Was there any statement? Was anything done? Earlier this year, Cricket West Indies pretends to show interest in sexual harassment allegations 5 years after it would have been alleged to have happened. Because again, they know this is a society, our collective Caribbean territories, where we don't even have a 9-day memory. They know that all of these issues, this big hoo-ha and tralala about Nicholas Pooran and Rovman Powell and whatever else, but by next week it's stale news and we're cussing each other about something else. In the meantime, they roll along doing as they do, while the West Indies, cricket as an institution, continues to be devalued to the point where our combined men and women were beaten 12-0 in England.
And by the way, Faz, I just want to make the point that we did reach out to Nicholas Pooran through his agent. We were told that he is respectfully declining to speak on the matter at this stage. Hopefully, in future, he will be willing to do so, but says he doesn't want to do that at this stage. But given everything that is in front of us, Faz, and without guessing, and I know what I'm about to say is nothing shocking, and you're probably going to say, well, it's been the case for many, many years. But is it clear that under the leadership of Darren Sammy, that all is not well at the moment within the fraternity, from board all the way down to the players?
Well, it's been that way for many, many years. But the point is, Ricardo, forgive the poor attempt at a Jamaican accent. I apologize. but really, I mean, this situation. I mean, Darren Sammy, his entire career as a player, he was either the focus of anger and outrage. He would have made decisions that would have angered and outraged people. It just seems, just a never-ending cycle. And it's not just isolated to Darren Sammy, because almost every captain, people wanted to have Nicholas Pooran drawn and quartered after we failed to advance to the main draw of the World Cup, the T20 World Cup in Australia and New Zealand 2022. So I'm saying this to say that it's just variations of the same thing. A failure to govern properly, a failure to be properly transparent and accountable, and basically covering it up with public relations trash that these people continue to get away with.
Yeah, fans, I'm sure in the coming days we'll find out more, where we won't have to speculate or guess as much, but we'll get a much better idea as to why Nicholas Pooran was led to this discussion. We're going to be talking the World Test Championship final, which starts on Wednesday. So Faz is staying with us. We head to a break. We'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone.